Hello everybody, my name is Chaitali and I'm Assistant Professor in the Department of Computer Applications at Father Agnel College of Arts and Commerce, Pilar. I'm here to give you a talk on Information Communication Technology Tools, which is also known as ICT tools in short. So let's first try to understand what is ICT. So you may be using different devices like maybe computers, you use laptops, your mobile phones, printers, scanners, projectors. Apart from that, these are all hardware devices. Apart from that, you also may be using some softwares or applications. So applications that are installed on your phone and the softwares that are installed on your computer or laptop also come under ICT tools. Okay. So we have ICT devices, which are hardware devices like computers, laptops, printers, etc. And we have softwares or application programs that help us do different tasks over the internet or for different purposes. So such devices, such tools could be used by teachers to interact with the students, or they could be also used by students to interact amongst themselves. But apart from applications in education domain, ICT can be used for a lot of other purposes. So different purposes, we can use these different applications and different devices. So this diagram gives you an idea about what are the different applications and what are the different devices that come under ICT tools. So you can see there is a laptop here and there are several softwares that are installed on this laptop. There could be several softwares already installed. There could be some softwares which are not already installed, but you may have to install later on for having communication with anybody else. So we can write stories, we can play games, we can make movies, we can browse the internet using Internet Explorer or Firefox or Chrome. There are different browsers that help us browse the internet, so you can read on variety of topics. It also allows you to watch videos that could be uploaded on the internet. Most commonly we use YouTube to watch videos. So all that is possible with the help of a laptop. Apart from that, we can also communicate with somebody else with the help of internet. So there are applications that allow us to communicate with somebody else and you can actually see them. So Skype is one such application that allows you to communicate with anybody who is maybe somewhere across the world at some other place. So you can see them, you can talk to them with the help of this particular application. Apart from that, it allows you to have access to a lot of study material. Or maybe there is a particular topic that you're interested in and you want to read a lot more about it. Then there are applications that will help you do that. Then you can play games. So you can play games. There are certain games that are known to help you to increase your thinking capacity or make you more alert or help you concentrate better. So such games can be played and that can help you a lot. And of course you can do a lot of other things, like you can type a document, format a document, then you can prepare PPTs, you can also make movies, edit videos, edit audios, listen to audio. Okay, all those things can be done with the help of laptop. And there are also certain devices called as tablets or your regular cell phones. Okay, tablets and your cell phones also can run similar applications that are run on a laptop or a desktop computer, and these applications can also help you do similar things. Okay, like for example, browse the internet. You can have Skype chat with people. It has a camera, so it can help you to record movies, and you can also use the camera for taking pictures. Then you can edit the same pictures, edit the videos that you have taken, and so on. So a lot of things can also be done on a regular mobile phone or also a tablet. Now the difference between a mobile phone and a tablet is that tablet is slightly bigger. As you can see in the picture, this is a tablet and this is a mobile phone. So a mobile phone is slightly smaller in size. A tablet could be bigger, much bigger than a mobile phone, but smaller than a laptop. So it can allow you to record movies, take pictures, edit movies, edit the pictures, make your own music. It can help you to draw something if you want to draw. Then reading, if you all have heard of e-books, also known as electronic books. So if you do not have access to a hard copy means a regular textbook, you don't have an access to that, maybe it's not available around you. So what you can do is you can browse the internet, search on the internet for e-copy or e-book, whichever e-book you're looking for, and then that e-book you can read on your mobile phone, your tablet, or also on laptop. And then apart from that, apart from reading, it can also help you in writing. So you want to write, you want to type something, so it can help you in typing, formatting. You all know the best, you all have always been using a lot of electronic gadgets, and it's very easy to use, right? Much better than taking a pen and paper and writing. So typing is much easier and much faster. And formatting can be done whichever way you want. You want to change the font, you want to change the font size, you want to put colors, different colors for different lines. You can do all that different types of formatting, which becomes very difficult to do if you're writing on a piece of paper, because once you have written it in a certain way, you cannot change it. And of course, when you want to print these things, you can take as many copies of the same thing that you have typed as you wish. Okay, so all these things can be done with the help of ICT tools. And then I had also mentioned that there are projectors. So whatever presentation you have made, PPT you have made, or a document that you have typed, or you have recorded a video, you have clicked pictures, you want to project it on a screen and show it to a larger audience, then that also can be done with the help of these ICT tools. So moving forward, let's see what are the different applications in everyday life, okay, where you can apply these ICT tools or where you can use these ICT tools. So the first and very important application of ICT is in education domain. That is what we have been using since the lockdown began. More than before, we have been using ICT tools in education ever since the lockdown began 1 year ago. Okay, before that there were some schools that were using ICT tools, but it was not used as much as it is used now. Okay, so what can we do? If any one of you has done computer programming, you all have written computer programs, and that can be done with the help of computers. Then smart boards can be used to access the content on the internet and show it to the students directly in the class. And smart board is like a digital board where the screen is just like your laptop screen or your phone screen, which is a touch screen, and you can do a number of applications. You can do a lot of things with the help of this smart board. So pretty much everything that you can do on your phone or laptop, it can be done on a smart board. Okay, and other than that, what you can do is you can use cameras, you can use microphones, you can use presentations, PPTs, you can show videos to the students. So there are a number of tools that can be used in educational domain to impart education to students, especially when they are not sitting in the classroom, if they are sitting somewhere else. Okay, like you all are very much familiar now, you all must have had online classes and you all must have used these tools. So education is a very important domain where ICT can be used. Other than education, ICT can be also used in home or other domestic activities. Like we can make smart home with the help of ICT tools. Then we can have a security system in place. So you can turn lights on and off remotely. So you're not at home, you're somewhere else. But before you get home, you want the lights to be turned on. So you can do that from wherever you are. You may not be inside your house. You may be at some other faraway place. But from that place, you can turn the lights on of your house. And same way, you can turn the AC on before you reach home. So with the help of the internet, with the help of ICT tools, it allows you to do all these things, turning lights on and off, turning different devices on and off, controlling cameras, all that can be done remotely with the help of ICT tools. And all these different devices make a home a smart home. And also, if you have security cameras installed, you can track the security of your premises. You can see whether you are there at home or not. You can see from wherever you are if any outsider is trying to break into your house, is trying to forcibly get into the house, or if by chance your house is getting robbed while you are not at home, then you can see all those things and alert maybe the police or somebody else, your neighbors, to inform them that a theft is taking place at your house while you are not there. So there is also something called as a security system. So all the doors and windows can be alarmed. That means if you have locked all your windows and doors and you have stepped out of the house, and without your knowledge, if somebody is trying to open the window, forcibly open the window, or trying to forcibly open a door of the house, then it sets off an alarm which will alert the people around and also the police. So this is called as a home security system. So ICT applications can be used in a house. So you need to install those devices in the house, connect them with the help of the internet, and maybe install an app on your phone so that whenever you are away from the home, you can always check what is happening inside your house. And then you can control your devices as and when you like. So that is a smart home, which is another application of ICT. Moving over, ICT can also be used in retail. So what is the meaning of retail? You can see in the image, you go to a supermarket to buy some products. You may go to a shop to buy clothes for yourself. You may go to a shop to buy shoes for yourself. Or maybe anything else that you need, any appliances, maybe a mixer grinder, maybe a water filter. So you go to a shop and you buy those things. But sometimes it may not be possible to go to a shop and buy those things. Like I'm giving you again an example of lockdown where it was not possible for people to step out of their houses because we were all expected to stay inside the house to avoid the spread of the virus. So what do we do in such cases when we cannot go out to buy the things that we need to buy? Maybe you don't need to buy clothes or shoes urgently, but you may have to buy food products urgently. Maybe you have to buy oil, maybe you have to buy rice, maybe you have to buy something else, fruits, vegetables. But if you don't step out of the house, how will you get access to these? So, to make this easier, we can use ICT tools again to help us purchase some goods online, also known as online shopping. So you have a phone with you, you have an app installed on your phone, then you can buy the things that you want sitting at home. You don't have to step out of the house. So what the company will do is whatever products you have placed an order for, they'll put them together, they'll pack it and they will send it to your house. So what have you done? Without stepping out of the house, you have purchased all the products, fruits, vegetables, rice, whatever other things you wanted sitting at home, you are able to purchase. So ICT has helped us to make our lives very easy. So while you are away from home, you can always check what is happening inside your house. You can turn the lights on and off. You can check the security cameras to see if anyone is come to the house. You can put your security system in place. So it has made our lives easier. So we don't have to worry about what's happening to our house while we are away. Same way, we don't have to worry about how we are going to get education when we can't go to the school. We can sit at home and we can attend classes. Same way in retail. We can sit at home, we can place order for different things and they will be delivered to us. So this way we can see that ICT tools have made our lives very easy. Another place where we can use ICT tools is in banking. Everybody knows what a bank is, and maybe you have gone to banks with your parents, with someone older to see bank related activities or to deposit money, to withdraw money, to get updates on the passbook, okay, get your passbook updated. All that you may have done. Maybe you have done personally for your needs, your banking needs, or maybe you have accompanied somebody else to the bank. So you have seen how the operations go on with respect to banking, going to a bank and depositing money, withdrawing money or transferring money from one account to another. So all these things that can be done by going to a bank can also be done online. So there is something called as internet banking, or also called as online banking or mobile banking. So when you are using your phone to do banking, then it's called as mobile banking, and when you use a laptop or a computer system, a desktop PC to access the internet and do banking, then it is called as internet banking. So what you can do, you can transfer your funds, you can make FDs, then if you go to the ATMs, you can withdraw money. So you don't actually have to go to the bank branch to withdraw money. You can withdraw your money at ATMs. So all you need for that is your card. Okay, your ATM card. So if you have your ATM card, you can use the card and withdraw money from ATMs. Same way, if you go to a shop, you buy something and you don't have cash with you to pay, and if you have the card with you, which is also called as a debit card, then you can swipe the card and the money will be directly transferred from your account to the shopkeeper's account. Okay, so all these things can be done if ICT is used in banking, which is happening right now. Before it was not used so much, but after realizing the benefits of using internet banking and mobile banking, there are a lot of people who are switching over to these types of banking facilities, okay, and they don't have to actually go to the bank to do all these things, because to go to the bank you have to travel, you have to wait in a line and then do your banking. Maybe you will have to waste a lot of time, maybe you will have to sit, a lot of wait time is there. So if you want to avoid all that, you can use your ICT devices, sit at home and do all the banking you need to do. Transferring funds can be done very easily. Okay, so not only withdrawing money, you can also deposit money. There are certain ATMs where deposits also can be done. Okay, so these things can be used. Then another application of ICT is medicine and healthcare. Patient records, like what disease a patient has had, what medicine the patient has been taking. Maybe the patient has been taking medicines since several years and the patient goes to a completely new doctor. The new doctor will not know what health complications the patient has had before, or what medicines the patient has been taking before. So to make it easier, now these are called as patient records, to make it easier for a new doctor to go through the history of a patient, maybe medical history of the patient. All these records, all these details of the patient can be stored, okay, online. So they can be stored on computer systems. So when they are stored on computer systems, it becomes very easy for a doctor or another healthcare worker to find out what medicines a patient has been taking. Because before doctors prescribe new medicines, they need to know what are the existing medicines a patient is taking, so that it doesn't cause complications while prescribing new medicines. Okay, sometimes a patient may not be in a state to speak. They may not have their previous prescriptions with them. So how will the doctor know what has to be done and what is the complications? So by entering the records on computer systems, they can be easily accessed. So this can be used. Even the scans, whatever different scans may be taken for a particular patient. So those records also can be stored in computer systems. And very important, it also helps to reduce the paper costs. Okay, so it can, another application is you can give long distance consultation. So the patient cannot come to you, patient is somewhere far away, then you can have a consultation for that patient over long distance with the help of internet, and you can suggest treatment. So let's have a look at some health and safety issues while we use computers or any such devices, because it is very important, since a lot of us have been using laptops, mobile phones, computers for our day-to-day activities. The number of people using these devices has increased a lot since the last few years. Before, people used to not use as much, but now, and especially because of the lockdown, a lot of people are using ICT devices. So there are certain health concerns that we need to be aware of while using these devices. So upper and lower back pain is very common, especially if you have been using these devices for prolonged periods, for a long time, and you're not sitting properly. Maybe you're bending, you're not sitting straight, your neck is always bent downwards looking at your phone. It can cause pain. So it may not cause pain immediately, like in 1 day, 2 days, maybe not in 1 month also, but eventually if you continue using for several months and you continue to bend like that for several months at a stretch, then eventually it can give you back pain. Okay, it can give you back pain and it can spoil your posture. So you are supposed to be walking straight, but because of back pain you may start bending and walking, maybe a slight hunch. So these can be long-term effects of using computers. I will also discuss with you what is the right posture and how you're supposed to sit when you're using a computer system, or also your phone, because I assume most of you might be using phones. Okay, we'll come to that later. So what are the other problems that can be caused by using computers? Injuries of hand and arm, because you may be holding a mouse, you may be using the touchpad of a laptop, so it can cause injuries to your wrist, your arms. It can also cause strain in legs and feet, especially if you're sitting in one place for way too long, then it can strain your legs and feet, also cause swelling in the legs and feet. Then straining eyes, this is a very common complaint most students have given during the lockdown, because all of their classes were online, so it has strained eyes and caused headaches. Then stress and fatigue. Fatigue is tiredness, so it can cause stress and tiredness if you're using a device for too long. Obesity. Obesity means people tend to get fat. How can that happen? You're sitting in one place all the time. Every day you're sitting in one place, staring at your phone, working on your laptop. So you're not moving, you're not exercising, you're sitting only in one place, eating, sitting there only. So it can cause obesity, can cause fat storage. Then laptop use injuries. Maybe laptop now, since the name says it's a laptop, you may keep the laptop on your lap and bend to look at the screen, thereby causing strain on your neck and back. Okay, so that can also lead to injuries. Hearing loss from headphones, very common. We put earphones and we sit and listen to music or listen to lectures, very loud volume, that can cause hearing loss, and that hearing loss is permanent. So it may sound very nice to listen to music on loud volume because you see a lot of people around you doing that. So whether you can hear or not hear, you just play it very loud. But that can make you deaf. So you may not get deaf when you get old, but you may get deaf while you are young, which is not a nice thing. So keep the volume low. Not too low that you cannot hear, but just enough so that you can hear and not extra loud. And then it can lead to sleeping problems, especially if you've been using laptops or your mobile phones late at night, staring into it, it can lead to sleeping problems. You may not be able to sleep, find difficulty in sleeping. Okay, so all these health issues can arise because of prolonged use of computers. So what is the right posture? So this is a diagram that shows you what is the right posture. Let's look at point number 1. Eyes to the source. Do you notice the level at which the screen is and the level at which the eyes of this person are? Both are at the same level. If this screen was kept down here, then this person's eye would have to, the gaze would have been this way at an angle. So he would have to bend. He would have to tilt his head slightly, thereby causing stress or strain in the neck. So that's why it is very important you elevate your screen, put something underneath, maybe a small table or something like that, and raise the screen to the level of the eyes. So this will help in reducing the strain on the neck. Second, hands to input device. Okay, the hands should be at a particular angle. See, it's relaxed and bent over here, and it is there right at this level, at the elbow level. So this will avoid any hand or wrist injuries. Third, the chair that you're sitting on, your back needs to be properly rested. So the back needs to rest at the backrest of the chair, and you need to sit comfortably. And fourth, feet placed properly at the floor. So see how the feet are placed? They are placed properly on the floor. So this will help reduce any strain on the knees or back. So here, this is a wrong posture. You see, this person is not rested properly. The back is not resting at the back. Okay, slightly bent, as you can see. The neck, like I told you before, the screen is down, so he has to bend the neck to look at the screen. So his neck is strained, shoulders bent forward, and not resting the back to the back of the chair. So this can cause strain. And you see the wrist, they are angled, they are not straight here. So it can affect the wrist. So this is a very bad posture. So what is the right posture? See, rest the back to the backrest, raise the screen so that it's at the same level, check the angle of the hands. See here, it is going upwards, here it is straight at elbow level. And feet, see, for the comfort, now every table and every chair is not the same. So for the comfort, there is something here kept below the feet, so it gives a proper angle and the feet are properly rested, and you can rest the back also very nicely. So if you are sitting down, this is the right posture, and if you are standing up, this is the right posture. Keep your back straight. Again, elbows at the same level, the wrist should be at the same level at the elbows, screen raised to the eye level, so you can stand and operate the computer if all these things are done properly. Looking at another picture. So here she's sitting properly, there is proper back rest, back support, proper elevation on the chair. Screen needs to be raised. Okay, now this they are just showing how you should be positioned while you're sitting on the chair. So they are not really talking about the screen height, which is shown already to you in the previous slide. Proper support for the feet. And this is a very bad posture because she is bent, so it's causing strain on the lower back, upper back. So if she keeps sitting like that for several months and days and weeks and years, she'll start getting back pain, upper back pain, lower back pain. Okay, so it's very important to practice the right posture. Also, when you're looking at the phone, you are tempted to look down and bend down and look at the phone. So what is better is, again, bring the screen up to the level of your eyes, not too close to the eyes, but the level of your eyes, and then use it. And of course, don't use it for too long. Next topic is security issues. It's very important to be very careful when you're using the internet, because there are a lot of security risks that are there on the internet which we are not aware of. Okay, maybe somebody will hack your computer, maybe somebody will hack into your account, maybe they will try to steal your information. You may feel that okay, there is nothing much information, not much is available, but that information, whatever you put on social media or somewhere else, if that goes into the wrong hands, then it can be used against you. So you have to be very careful while talking to people on the internet, especially those who have you have not met before. They may even rob you if you have entered your bank details somewhere. They may ask you to click on some link and enter your data over there. So that can also be misused. You don't know where it is going unless you know the company is very trusted and you know who they are and it is verified. Then it is fine. But just to some random person, do not disclose your details. Then environmental issues. It is very important to know about the environmental issues when you are using all these different devices. So you need to know how to dispose your waste, electronic waste. Okay? Don't throw them in the dustbin. That's not the right way to dispose electronic waste. So electronic waste can be given to these specific recycling plants that are specially designed to recycle electronic waste. So to these recycling plants, only the electronic waste is sent, not the other waste, other garbage that we throw out. So if you throw your electronic waste with the regular garbage, then it will not go to the correct recycling plant. It will be sent somewhere else and disposed of, wherein it will be fallen somewhere on some ground, and the harmful chemicals from your device will leak into the ground, and that's very bad for the environment. So collect your electronic waste and send it to the right recycling plant that recycles the electronic goods. Okay? So what you can do while using computers: avoid wasting electricity, avoid wasting paper, don't print unnecessarily, print only when you know that whatever you have done is final. Don't keep printing and throwing things in the dustbin. Okay? Do not keep your devices on when you're not using, so you will be saving electricity, and if you save electricity, you can also save the environment. And of course, I told you about disposal. Dispose your equipments responsibly. And if there is some old mobile device which you are not using anymore but is working perfectly fine, then maybe you can consider donating that mobile phone to somebody who needs it. Okay? Somebody who needs it, give it to somebody if you don't need it. Otherwise, if you really don't want it, you don't have anybody to give it to, then give it to a proper recycling plant. Also, there are some people who buy used devices, so you can go ask in a mobile shop if they are willing to buy your mobile device. Okay? Then, like I told you, give your electronic waste to a certified e-waste recycler. So if you do a little bit of googling, you'll be able to find e-waste recyclers around you, and you can give your electronic waste to those people. So even if you are not using any electronic device, but you know somebody in your family is using electronic device, then you can tell them all what you have learned. avoid wasting electricity, avoid wasting paper, dispose your electronics responsibly, and so on. You can also pass on the information. Okay? So thank you so much. I hope you all understood what I wanted to convey. Thank you.